Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the Tawnya Love Show. Hope everyone's having a fabulous spring day. It is gorgeous here in Vancouver, Washington. I actually got a chance to go out for a little bit and walk my dog before I taught my yoga teacher training today, and it feels like summer. It's so nice here. So I hope you guys are all feeling nice and cozy and springish wherever you are. Um, I'm going to give you guys the information for anybody that's new tuning in. I'm encouraging you, if you're here live, to go ahead and go on that little box there where you can put in your name or nickname and join our live chat. And if you have questions or comments throughout, just go ahead and type them there anytime, and Amnon will relay the messages to me. And then we also, if you want to call in live, the number is 919-518-9773. Or you can also call in through Skype to Computers 2K Voice. So I'll give you guys a chance to get all that information. And if you need that again, just ask Amnon and he can type it to you. So I just wanted to tune in on last time when I was talking about my experience with Honey Girl when we got back from Hawaii. And she's doing awesome, by the way. We're having a great time together, and she's such a little sweet love. But I wanted to show you guys something. I actually teach these workshops here locally called the Laws of Attraction. I do Laws of Attraction workshops where we create vision boards. And I am a big believer in the power of vision boards because not only are you, in your mind affirming that you would like something to happen and then you talk about it, but when you create a visual and you put pictures down, it's kind of like you're laying down the blueprints before you build a house. And so you're letting the universe know what you want to create and what you want to build, and it will start getting to work to help you make that happen. And so it was interesting because when we got back from Hawaii, I have this vision board hanging in my downstairs bathroom, and a lot of my students and clients see it all the time because it's right there. If they need to use the restroom, they're going to look at it. And I made this, I want to say it was like this past fall. I taught a workshop and I created this one. And I've made many and manifested a lot of things along the years, but it was so funny because when I got back from Hawaii, I was sitting in the bathroom. I look up, I see my vision board. I'm like, oh my gosh, like almost everything on that vision board came true on my trip to Maui. And so I was going to show it to you really quick. I don't know if you'll see it super well, but you can kind of see like there's a sea turtle, there's a whale. It shows there's three women doing warrior pose on a rock, like in the mountains. I'm trying to see what else is on here. It just shows like the islands and the water, and it says Maya in the top, which is interesting because the woman who, one of the women, there was Tawnya and Mayan, who I got Honey Girl from, and it's got that name on the top corner of the board. And then in the center, there's Kuan Yin, and then there's Lord Shiva, the deity that's the remover of all obstacles, is dead center on my vision board. I don't know if you can see that, but it's right here. And then Kuan Yin. And I thought that was so awesome because when I was looking at it, that whole trip, really, in essence, I mean, it was a fun trip and it was amazing in so many ways. But the big purpose of that was Shiva's soul calling me to come and get her. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. And I just used an image of Shiva, which I named my dog Shiva, or you call it Shiva. I named her after that deity. So I just thought that was pretty cool. So I just wanted to share that with you. And it's fun, like if you live in my area and you want to do a workshop, let me know, contact me. But if you don't, I don't know, maybe we could do like an online class sometime. So if you have interest in that, let me know. But they're so fun to make anyways. It's like tapping into your inner child, just playing and creating these vision boards. But they're really powerful when you hang them somewhere where you can see them a lot and you're really focusing on creating that intention and manifesting those goals. It can be very powerful. So I just thought that was kind of cool. And I wanted to share that with you guys. I'm trying to wiggle around and get comfy. Sorry. So today, what we're going to focus on is the subject of cultivating your pain, like the pearls of your pain, into power. And so sometimes when we go through trials and tribulations, we have suffering, we have things that challenge us and they're not fun. We have to walk through the darkness and we go through these tests and things that, at the time don't always feel exciting. but they often are like these irritants that can create tension and reaction and irritation in us. And ultimately, they can create and cultivate these beautiful pearls of wisdom and these gifts inside of us, just like inside of a pearl or inside of an oyster. When a pearl is created, it's created from a grain of sand or a little parasite that gets into that pearl oyster, and it starts to create irritation. And then these layers of this pearlescent material start to form layer upon layer on each other and create this beautiful, lustrous pearl. And so I was thinking about that because I have this Kuan Yin deck, which I'll read you a card by her, and it talks about that. And I taught my soul sisters, or I led my soul sister circle last night, and we discussed this and how, all of us, we have things that we go through, and we have tests, and we have things that kind of challenge us. And if we use those tests correctly, they can really give us a lot of strength. They can cultivate this great strength and power in us and more compassion, more awareness. Um, it can become a really amazing gift. But if we don't do that and we just get into suffering and we forget to look for the wisdom and to see what we're cultivating within, it can feel like, it can feel torturous and not fun at all. And so today, I'm going to open it up for you guys to call in. And again, the first caller I will do a angel reading for. So whoever wants to call in first, feel free to call in. And I am just like looking forward to connecting with all of you on that topic. So, Amnon, have you ever experienced anything that you can think of in your journey where it was a painful situation, it tested you, it challenged you, but you ended up seeing that going through that actually gave you a gift? Putting Amnon on the spot.
Yeah, you're putting me on the spot. I can't think. I can't think. Keep going. I'm thinking.
Yeah, just think about that for a minute. And for those watching, for you to think about that too. For myself, let's see, if I tune into some of my own pain that I've gone through, there has been times that I've gone through great tests and challenges, and as far as speaking my truth, as far as like feeling it's okay to be me, it's okay to actually come out of the angel closet, let's say, like I did in 2012. It's okay to be heard, for me to speak, for me to stand in my power. And there's been times where I didn't feel that it was okay to do that. And where I literally moved through a lot of abuse in my childhood and things that were really dark. But as I went through that, I feel like one of the gifts that irritation of abuse and of being silenced created in Tawnya was this deep compassion. I am very patient. I have this gift of patience and compassion that is very deep, and it's very hard for anyone to shake that. And I feel like this is an example of this pearl that I created from the irritation of my journey of being enslaved and being silenced and being hurt and abused and feeling powerless. It actually created this pearl of wisdom, and it also helped me to see that as I moved through those things, I could find the power to come out of there and to rise anew. And after I did that, I was called in to assist and heal and help others as a healer. And it's been awesome because all of the gifts that I use every day now, like all this shamanic healing and the angelic healing and tuning into my intuition and listening to guides and angels, all of that I feel was really cultivated from my trials and from the dark times and from the periods where I felt isolated and like I was all by myself. And it taught me to really trust my own intuition. It taught me to trust and tune into source over anything else and to really honor my heart's calling and to listen to and honor when I felt intuition of my angels guiding me in a direction that maybe didn't logically make sense. Kind of like me going to Maui. There was no logical reason I needed to go, but in my heart, there was a strong pull and desire to go there. And when I found my dog, it made perfect sense. And so that's an example of how we can go through things that can actually strengthen us and they can prepare us for greater things that we're going to be a part of one day. And so when I look back in my life, when I was, feeling like I wanted to be an empowered woman and I wanted to feel confident and strong and like I could be a leader. But back then I didn't feel like I was, but there was the dream of that. I wanted to become that. And today I very much am that, and I've embodied that. And a lot of this, who I am today, came from all of the past, of all the trials and the tribulations and times I was challenged to stand in my power and to bring my power and to know that I was capable of whatever came my way. So I hope that makes sense to you. And if you guys want to write in and share your stuff with me. I'd love to hear it. And have you thought of anything, Amnon?
No, I'm thinking, and I mean, I don't remember that I had to go through trials and tribulations that changed anything, or that you can say, okay, yeah, it's because of I went through that this happened. I mean, I had a good childhood,
Mm-hmm.
be it because of, I don't know, my parents, be it because of the counselors at the Y, be it because of my colonel in the military, being because the the social circle that I was in. I mean, everything from childhood until today. It's almost like you knew, or I knew that how it's going to turn out. I mean, because I'm very optimistic. So whenever I'm looking forward to something, I say, yeah, it's going to happen. I mean, it's fine, just patience. And
Yeah.
so I don't. I'm sitting here and trying to think. Okay, what trials and tribulations? I can't think of any. I mean,
So
what?
you felt like you had a pretty supported life.
Oh yes,
That's good.
absolutely. I'm very thankful for that.
That's good.
I mean, and for the last almost 40 years being with Kathy, it's I don't know, it's just it's good.
That's good. And that's actually that's good. Like if you haven't had to go through that, then that's okay. And that may be something you're because our souls very much choose a path. Like before we even come into this spacesuit that is going to be our body, we choose this journey and we have these different challenges that we want to take on, or we might want to have it be an easier life where we totally like I'm going to pick those parents because they're going to support me and I'm going to make sure I'm here with these people that support me. And then another soul may come in and be like, so I'm going to go in very strategically and I'm going to be around people that withhold love, they're abusive, and it's going to teach me something important my soul needs to understand. It's going to teach me to, for one thing, learn discernment. We discern energy and we can learn how to honor ourselves and love ourselves. And so every single soul's got a different journey with that. But I'm glad that yours was nice and that
maybe
you
maybe
feel like you
next
were very
round.
supported. What's that?
Maybe next round.
Well, if you, and this is the thing, it's kind of interesting because I was talking to a woman recently and she's around a woman who is going through a lot of abuse and they're good friends. And she has always had things kind of come to her pretty easily. And she's, never felt like she had to tolerate abuse or anything like that. And I was talking to her about my dog and how Honey Girl, when she was Shiva, she had it pretty easy and she was totally treated with the ultimate care and just had a good life. Like she was treated like a goddess. And so there was times where her spirit didn't quite understand like why I tolerated stuff I tolerated. And so when she came back in as Honey Girl as a puppy and went through abuse and neglect and abandonment and all that stuff very fast for a dog to like take all that on so quick. But she wanted to understand it. And like that journey, she went through it and then is like, okay, that's enough of that. I'm ready to go back to being treated like a goddess and to having it be more easy and respectful and supported. And
Mm-hmm.
so a soul will go through that at times. Like let's say if you Amnon were with Kathy and let's say Kathy had stuff that she went through growing up, like she had abuse and things and maybe her family isn't supportive now or something like that. And then you're observing that at a soul level, you might be like, why does that happen? And you know, I can't comprehend why a family wouldn't be supportive of their daughter. And so at a soul level, you may want to come back later as a soul that goes through that experience because your soul wants to understand it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's what I'm saying. Maybe next time, next round.
Yeah. You're like, I'll take on the harder. I kind of joke and say that this life for me was like, you know how some people go to school and they get a PhD and they have years and years of college education to get that PhD. And I'm like, I feel like that was my life at a soul level of training. It's like soul boot camp and it was intense. But I really feel like in this life, I was just like, bring it on. I want to know it all. I want to feel it. I want to understand it. And then I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to rise out of here like a warrior and I'm going to lead others to rise out with me. And so knowing my soul, that actually fits me very well because I'm just like, yeah, let's do this. But at the time when we're in soul consciousness, we're just like, oh, yeah, we can take that. Let's go in. We come into the body and then we're like, oh my God, what have I done? This is heavy. Like these people are really mean and they're not supportive. And I'm starting to forget who I am. And so it can be a lot of challenge for a soul that takes on a lot. And the trick is that we stay in this place where we remember who we are. And I feel like ultimately that's what I love about meditation and where the power of meditation comes in is that when we can be still and we can silence the chatter in the mind and we can connect with the infinite possibilities and potential of our soul, we start to remember who we are, this like vast and powerful energy of consciousness that is just kind of filtering into this little spacesuit. And when we get too caught up in this the ego personality, and then we get out of alignment with it and we're really, you know, insecure or we're over controlling and over anxious or manipulative or whatever these energies are that we can create when we're out of alignment, then we start to forget the vastness of our soul. We forget this infinite, powerful part of ourselves. And so I feel ultimately where we're going and the direction that humanity is headed is to awaken and to self realize so that each of us are awake and aware masters. We realize that we are the co creators with Source, and we can start to really co create from what we love rather than what we fear. So, like, I'll give you an example of how we can take, you know, this is kind of perfect for Hawaii because when I went into Hawaii, I was staying on the island of Maui and I could feel this heavy energy there that the earth itself, the land, there was a beautiful energy of the nature, but the humans, there was like this painful energy. And when I started to tune into it, it's kind of like this very heavy racist energy that's happened from how a lot of the islanders were treated, how they were kind of like Native Americans tricked into having things come onto their island that they didn't understand how it was going to change it. And change did come, and there was enslavement and sickness, and there's been poverty, and there's been control issues, and all this happened. But when we take that pain and we don't turn it into something beautiful and we don't cultivate it into this beautiful pearl that we can use as a gift, then we'll hold that pain and it will kind of eat us alive. That irritation can either turn into a beautiful pearl or we can take irritation that's kind of more like when people get ulcers and they're eating themselves alive with worry. And I feel like energetically on the islands, there's a lot of clearing to be done with the consciousness, the belief systems, and helping the people reunite. So when we remember that we're this vast consciousness, oneness, we all come from that bigger ocean. But when we get trapped in these little droplets of water that are the spacesuit personalities, like the white girl that is Tawnya, and then there's the Hawaiian boy that is, you know, well, I don't even know a good Hawaiian name, so I'm not going to mess that up. But imagine a really great Hawaiian name. And so we take these energies and then we see the difference in each other. We either can come together and we can cultivate more connection and awareness and we can learn about each other, or we create resistance and we don't trust each other and we have paranoia and control issues. And this is like what happened in the South with slavery, where there's blacks that come into our country and then people that were afraid of them. They had these crazy belief systems back in the day, like that blacks couldn't use their bathrooms because they carry more disease and just crazy stuff. But what it is it's this fear of the unknown and it's this fear of what's there that's not like them. And so I see that this is like we're fearful in our spacesuits. So it's like, oh, your spacesuit's black. That terrifies me. it's just a spacesuit, and our consciousness is like the ocean. We're all a part of that same ocean. So I feel like as we can clear and heal a lot of the belief systems and that prejudice, like racist energy that creates separation, we will actually come and we will unite together. And we'll create much more beauty, we'll feel better, we'll feel more loving. And I feel like on our planet, a lot of stuff is shifting right now with consciousness, where we are either going to suffer greatly or we're going to rise and we're going to burn off the old. And I feel like with belief systems like in Hawaii, where there's a heaviness there that's from the past, it's just like if a man and a woman, say a woman, she's been abused and she goes to date someone and she's dating a new person, but she's still carrying around the heavy baggage of that past relationship and this cellular memory that says, men could hurt me, or they're going to disrespect me, they're going to cheat on me, whatever, then she'll carry that baggage into the new relationship and she'll beat that new person over the head with the baggage. So we want to be able to clear that old stuff. And the same thing's happening. Like I just witnessed and observed a lot of um, just like negative energy towards tourists when I was there. And sometimes tourists, can really be disrespectful. There's times where tourists go in and they just create a ruckus and they're not honorable. But then there's many tourists, like I'm a tourist that goes and loves to travel, and I'm very respectful and honorable. I don't just go and take the flowers and, pick them and whatever. But there's people that have, and I think that there's like a shift that needs to happen where we kind of start seeing each other with love and light, no matter what our spacesuit looks like, and that we can show honor to each other and understand that everybody has gone through their own trials and their own tests. And some of the most compassionate people I have met that are very patient and very compassionate have often been through a lot. And I'm not saying you have to go through that. You could have great compassion and have come in and had a very, blessed life. Like think of someone like the Dalai Lama, who has, they recognized, identified him young, and he was raised around safety and protection and treated with honor and respect. And he has great wisdom. And so this is a soul that maybe in the past, though, went through things and went through trials and situations to cultivate that strength and that awareness. So just something to think about, and how we, like as a healer, that's what I love helping clients with, is tuning into that, the pain, the irritants inside of them, and how is that pain something that they can not only clear it, but they could take a gift from that experience. They could look inside and see there's a pearl growing inside of me from this irritation. And I can now, like my becoming an intuitive healer was a birthed experience from my experience and my journey of pain and suffering. And now I can deeply understand others, but I also had to go through my process of clearing that pain and releasing it so that I could assist, not in a state of ego, making sure I was clear of ego. Is anybody writing in or calling in?
Nope, they're still sitting there and listening to you, I guess.
Okay. Well, if you guys want to call in, somebody call me and I will do a reading for you. I'm going to read one card. It's from my Hawaiian healing cards that I got when I was in Maui. And it is Kealoha. Looks like that. It's a lotus flower. And oops, I thought I was on the right page. Hold on. And this one says Kealoha means love. It says you are worthy of receiving love and allowing yourself to heal your physical and emotional pain. You are important enough to be taken care of. To heal your heart requires that you listen with great compassion and presence to your deepest feelings so that you can transform this pain into the light of love. When you honor yourself in these ways, the world will respond by matching your efforts. And the intention, if anybody wants to write this down or just affirm it in your minds, is my intention is to now heal my heart and all patterns of pain, to receive love and to know with absolute certainty that I am worthy of living a joyous, love-filled life. And I just feel like that one's really beautiful. And that's kind of cool because my last name's Love. So I could be Tawnya Ke Aloha. So that was kind of a fun one. The next card, the one I was talking about that kind of got me feeling the whole topic for the show today, is from the Kuan Yin Oracle deck. And I just think it's a really beautiful, beautiful deck. And this one is called the Empress of the Pearl, and it looks like that. And there's beautiful illustrations. The artist, I'm trying to see what the artist's name was, I think it's in the back here, is very talented. I love the illustrations. It is by, the author is Alana Fairchild, and the artist is Zhang Hao, and he's a Chinese painter. So anyway, just so you guys know that. So here's this one. It says, you have an inner gift of great value, born of struggle, adversity, and challenge. In wisdom, you know that suffering can lead to growth, provided that we are willing to search for a way to heal through it. Seeing challenges as ways to expand your spiritual light empowers you to focus on the growing light rather than getting caught up in your suffering. So kind of think about, it's like laws of attraction. We talk about focusing on what you love rather than what you're afraid of. Focus on what, you know, you enjoy and what you have gratitude for instead of what's lacking or the problem, and you will cultivate whatever you're focusing on. Natural pearls are rare, lustrous feminine gems created within a living organism, the pearl oyster, like I was telling you. They have a unique creation process. Natural pearls are created when a foreign entity, such as a grain of sand or parasite, finds its way into the pearl oyster. The oyster then reacts and creates layers of pearlescent substance, creating a warmly glowing treasure within. Just like the beautiful and rare natural pearl, you have a unique spiritual beauty to offer the world. Your pearl is your precious gift, something unique that is being born through your experiences and consciousness that cannot be created or copied by another because it is your own unique soul light. So I kind of think of this as like, as an artist, like there's a certain way that my soul will create and paint and express through my soul light. It will come out in its very own creative way. If I feel like there's something wrong with that way and I have to go be like someone else, then I'm going to try to copy other people. And that can be very frustrating to try to copy another person's way than to feel your own way. Even as a yoga teacher, I lead yoga trainings. And when I'm teaching teachers to lead yoga, I encourage them to watch me and to listen to me as a mentor, but to find and cultivate their own way, their own voice, the way they are feeling guided to teach. Same within painting classes. And as a healer, we will all have our own way. Like I've taught workshops where there's 5 women standing around and we're doing energy healing, and they each are going to have their own individual way they understand the energy. Some are very empathic and they'll feel it and they'll just know stuff. Whereas others in the circle may have the gift of sight, and so they'll be very psychically connected. Um, Others that could also, just feel like they have this deep sense of knowingness, or they auditorily, they have the, sorry, like I'm trying to remember the word, like they're auditorily hearing and feeling spirit speak to them. So there's different ways that we all will connect. And it's important that we find our own way and that we cultivate that into a beautiful pearl and to value it and to give it to the world. Because if you guys don't, if we don't see the mastery and the beauty in ourselves, and we don't share that gift with humanity, and we go and we try to copy and be clones of each other, and we, kind of meld into each other, then we really miss out on giving our gift to the world, and the world will miss out on that gift as well. So something to ponder and really look at your own magic. Let it shine. Okay, where did I leave off at? Any struggles that you've experienced are a karmic gift to help you grow this inner exquisite offering, to support the spiritual evolution of humanity. Once you recognize this, you can dispense with your struggles more swiftly, using them to help you grow and not adding unnecessary energy or focus any longer to the problem, which might make that grow instead. If you have found yourself attracting negative energies from those around you, or perhaps feeling drained or sometimes even possessed by negative thoughts or experiences, you don't have to feel afraid. You can heal now with Kuan Yin, allowing that which is stirred up within you to begin forming the beautiful gift that you have to share. Just as the pearl starts to be formed from irritation and reaction, so are the circumstances in your life which feel uncomfortable. They are serving you to help you grow your gift. It is time to realize that your soul is growing, is luster and beauty to share with the world. Once you realize this, your struggles will become less and your soul light will become even more luminous. So, this one, it's got a little meditation. And so I'm going to get a drink of water real quick and pause and see if anybody's writing in. And then I will actually lead this little meditation. If you guys want to get into it and just close your eyes, we'll have kind of like a calm experience today. So, is anybody writing in?
Nope.
Okay. So, if you're somewhere safe and not driving right now, if you're driving, do not close your eyes. That would not be a good idea. But if you're somewhere you can lay back and relax, let's just close our eyes. I'm going to do it with you, and we'll just kind of ground our energy and just take a few centering breaths. And just like in yoga, I teach you Jaya breath. You're going to breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your nose. And just as you're exhaling, feel the energy of your body sinking into your chair or onto your bed, wherever you're at. As you inhale, feel yourself supported and loved. And as you exhale, breathe out excess energy, any anxiety. Just feel the breath flowing in and out. And notice how both of these energies are equally as important. It's important to receive the breath. It's important to release the breath. And symbolically, this is like life and giving. It's important to give as well as receive, to take in as well as to release. And as you breathe, relax your jaw, relax your gaze, and soften the gaze inward, just connecting with your breath. Feel the tension in the body melting down, relaxing your shoulders and your low back, your jaw. Just enjoying presence with your breath. And as you close your eyes, focusing on your breathing, flowing in and out, imagine that you're in a beautiful, peaceful place where you become aware of a bright, golden, glowing light. Feel this light shining within your own heart. So as we connect with our heart chakra, imagine this light and this golden, glowing warmth in the heart space. And as we breathe that light into all the cells of the body, bringing healing and renewal. And as we exhale, breathing out tension and fear, any dis-ease in the body. And visualize this light expanding and growing larger and larger like a sun from your heart chakra. Feel that light growing up, traveling up through the throat chakra, burning away any fears of speaking or being heard. Rising higher to the third eye and the crown, clearing away any fears of seeing, any fears of knowing and connecting with Source. And equally feel this light expanding downward into the solar plexus, into the belly, igniting your power in your belly, burning off any energies that we've been picking up on. So if we're empathic, sometimes we absorb like sponges all the energies around us. So imagine this golden sunshine that you are, this light of your soul, burning off any low vibration. Feel it going all the way down, encompassing your entire body, your feet, your crown. This golden light is growing and expanding bigger and brighter with every breath. And feel this great bubble, this vastness around your physical form is protected with this divine light. Feel that light just burning off any fearful low vibrations, other people's energy that maybe you weren't even aware of, that you were absorbing into your auric field. Feel this light purifying your auric field, raising your vibration. And just connect with your breath, breathing in through the nose, out through the nose, feeling relaxed and calm and centered, very present. Feel that light growing even bigger and wider beyond your body, filling the room around you. Perhaps you're sending this light throughout your entire home or workspace. And feel that light purifying the space around you, clearing anybody else's energy that was left behind. Notice that the larger this light gets, any irritation or discomfort starts to fade inside of that light, just like a flame burning a scrap of paper. Imagine that low vibration, just like a paper, an irritant that's burning away to ash. And the larger the light grows within, the smaller the issues become. Feel this light glowing in its luminous warmth, encompassing you and wrapping you, surrounding any issues with love, gentleness, and peace. Layer upon layer until the issues themselves disappear. Now imagine that light burning out, and together, if we're all joining in this intention, realize our power as we, the ocean, come back into realizing itself. And feel this light expanding and connecting with each other, connecting with other lights, and growing that light, expanding it, filling the entire state where we live or country in which we live. And let that light grow even further, encompassing the planet. Imagine all of us uniting our lights and glowing brightly around planet Earth, burning off any low vibrational energies, any fear, anything disruptive to life and supporting life. And feel that light growing and growing and expanding like a bright golden sun. Realize that this expansiveness is truly who you are. And that as we feel nervousness or anxiety, if we remember to come here and practice this again before we go into a meeting or before we go to school, before we have to go around, others that may be sick at a hospital, wherever it is we have to go. Igniting your light and your power every single morning when you wake up. And imagine that light uniting with others. And just imagine all the shifts that are possible as we each start to activate our light and our power and to move in this awareness, to move in this expansiveness. How we will, in essence, co-create a new reality, a more aligned, high vibrational reality. And so just taking a big breath, feeling gratitude for our angels, for our spirit guides, all of those in form and beyond the form that guide us and assist us each day. Feeling gratitude for this planet that supports our life, our growth, our evolution, our understanding, and just giving honor and sending love and light and appreciation to each other for all that we teach each other, for all that we mirror to each other, and that we are one. Realize we are no better or worse because of the color of our skin or the walk of life that we choose to walk, the choices in career, in sexual orientation, any of it. It is really silly to waste our time arguing about such things. And so feel this sense of deep honor and gratitude as we bow to the light in each other. It's feeling gratitude for yourself. Imagine bowing inwardly and acknowledging your own divinity, your own light, realizing it does matter and it is powerful, giving it permission to shine. And now, if you'd like to, I'm going to read you an affirmation, and you can affirm this in your mind if you like. I now choose to release and detach from all negative energy that has been draining me or disrupting me. I now release it with love as I allow my own Kuan Yin compassionate heart to create its pearl, now for the highest good of all humanity. And so it is. And so, as we take a deep breath, just giving honor for each other and for all those that have come to help us and teach us, in yoga, we'll bring hands to heart center and we take a little bow and say namaste. And so, namaste to all of you for joining me in that. And just open your eyes gently. Just kind of wiggle your fingers and toes. Feel yourself still very connected and present in your body, but maybe a little bit more at ease, more at peace, and just connect with your breath. And so I'm going to take a little pause and see if anybody has any input today for me. Is there anything coming in, Amnon?
Oh, leave me alone. I'm sleeping.
Come
No, nobody's writing yet. Come on, guys.
on, somebody call me and I'll do a reading. So how did that feel, Amnon? Did you participate with this?
Yes, I did, and I was almost asleep.
You're like,
Kathy
ah.
came in. She said, "Don't fall asleep."
Who did, Kathy?
She did.
Nice. So is she tuning in right now?
Yeah, she's tuned in the living room.
Okay, so let's ask Kathy, since you're tuning in, Kathy, what do you feel that you have learned from your past and your journey that you went through? Have you noticed that there's any pearls of wisdom that you have cultivated, or any gifts of strength, or maybe compassion, understanding, anything that you've personally been aware of from your own journey? And we'll give her a second to write in. Is she responding?
I have no idea. I mean, I'm in the studio. She's in the living room.
Okay. Well, if she does, let me know what she says.
I sure will. And there's Cindy here and Cherokee. And come on, guys. I mean, you
Talk to
can.
me, Cindy, Cherokee. Share with me what you feel from that experience. I'm like all relaxed now. So I'm going to let you guys talk for a minute. Just write in or call us and let me know, like, what are you feeling about that? Or where is it that, maybe there's somewhere you are struggling right now. Like, I spoke with a client the other day on the phone, and she had contacted me to come and see me for a session. And she was talking to me about how she had gone through so much struggle over the past few years, and that she felt so lost and so afraid. But she felt drawn to work with me. She's watched my shows, and she finally took the leap and called me. And I wanted to give her so much honor, because I feel like so many of us are taught from society. It's like we're kind of taught and encouraged to isolate ourselves. We're taught to just, something's not going right, you just go deal with it by yourself, and don't talk about it, and don't bring any attention. You don't want to create, stir the pot or anything. And I do agree that we don't want to dwell on problem, because if we're talking about a problem too long, it can actually create more problem. And that's what I would consider complaining. Like, just complaining at, you know, ceaselessly, you're just going to complain about problem is not going to be a great choice, because it's going to bring more energy to that. But if you express yourself of how you feel about something with the intention to bring awareness to it and to find a solution, that's empowering. And what I felt with this client reaching out is, there's sometimes we're taught that it's weakness to reach out for help. It's weakness to admit you don't know everything or know what to do. And she was telling me, I really don't know what to do. And I feel like I need a teacher, and I need someone that can guide me. And I was like, well, that makes sense why your angels guided you to me, because I love mentoring those who are ready. And I feel like it is great strength for a soul to reach out and ask for help when it needs help. And I feel like the reason we have such a high, which, well, I'll get to that in a second. The reason we have such a high suicide rate and depression medicines are just like normal. It's almost like eating Tic Tacs these days. Like, oh, you're on what medicine are you on for anxiety or depression? And it's concerning to me, because if we all were actually feeling that it was okay to ask for help and to like feel our pain and to heal our pain, then we would as a society be shifting a lot more. But a lot of us are we're, taking drugs and things to numb the pain, and a lot of people that are suicidal that are checking out, they just want to escape the pain. And so if we can really tune in and see what we're learning from the pain and that it is okay to ask for help, I feel like this is really empowered and it's a strength. It is not a weakness to ask for help. So I just felt like I'd share that. Did anybody just call in?
Nobody called in. Kathy's having a
Oh,
problem with the tablets, with a
okay.
tablet,
Hey,
and
Tanya.
but so she came
Hey,
here.
Kathy. How are
Um,
you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm awesome. So, did you want to share from what I was asking you?
Sure.
I'd
Um,
love that.
I have learned tolerance for people that are intolerant. I
Yes.
recognize that's just where they are,
Yeah.
and I can't move them. They have to move themselves.
Good awareness.
I mean, some people you
Mhm.
can move, but others, no.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's good awareness to realize like what I look at that like is everyone's in their different levels of consciousness. And so if you're at a certain level of consciousness, not it doesn't mean you're superior to them, but you may have more awareness and you are allowing greater consciousness to flow through you. There will be more tolerance and more compassion for those who are not seeming to really allow that to come in. So that's a really great example.
I
And
don't.
in order for you to cultivate that gift, what did you have to go through?
Just observing how people react. I mean, if you have a negative reaction to their intolerance, you're almost as bad as they are.
Indeed. Absolutely true. It's
Almost.
what yes. It's kind of what Source said to me once about that was be mindful that you do not allow the misalignment in another to trigger the same within yourself.
Right.
And that's something to really pay attention to because if we are like around someone that's really grumpy and irritated and they're just complaining, if we're not very awake and aware and very much in an observing mode, and the empaths we are often will absorb their energy and then we're like, we're grumpy and complaining. And then we're just like, it's like a fire. It just breeds this energy and it spreads. And
Right.
so if we can observe it, we can go, that's interesting. I'm observing this experience, but I don't have to let it trigger that ego in me that makes that fire spread.
I still have a ways to go, but I've come a long way.
That's awesome. Well, and it's great that you have the awareness to see that and to acknowledge how far you've come. And this is where we can, it can be tricky. Like if people have been hurtful to us or they've caused us pain or suffering in some way in the beginning of that journey of forgiveness, it can feel almost impossible for someone to forgive when they're really hurt and angry. But over, time when we really can separate ourselves from that energy, we can really see how, like in my life, I see how some of the humans that I call them the souls that I had contracts with, some of those soul contracts that I invited into my movie that were really hurtful and really hateful and withheld love and withheld honor. Some of those souls were some of the greatest teachers that helped me to cultivate this strength that I have and this awareness and this patience. And like you said, this tolerance to not meaning that we're saying it's okay what you're doing,
Right.
not that kind of tolerance, but we are tolerant of observing where you are and we show compassion for where you are. But at the same time, there's this empowerment where we can speak truth, we can shine the light, and we can remove ourselves from their energy. There's choices we can choose that will empower us. And I feel like that's kind of the intelligent choice, whereas the ignorant choice that's insanity is I'm just going to complain and complain and complain, but I won't do anything about it. And I won't change the situation. I won't remove myself from the situation, but I'm just going to complain. And that kind of creates this victim consciousness. And that's not the best choice. But we can choose to empower ourselves from these experiences and observe them. And if they start to try to, it starts coming in and it feels like it's triggering us or we feel like we're not quite strong enough to be around that energy, these are times where we have to make important choices to remove ourselves from the energy or to change it in some way, change our own interaction with it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I sometimes I feel like I get to a point where, and I don't know if this is good, that I just kind of numb my feelings, put a shield around me, kind of.
Yeah. Well, what do
To
you feel intuitively? Do you feel that that is the highest choice?
yes, I do.
Mm-hmm. And you feel like, what do you mean by numb? Like,
No, I
explain
don't.
that.
No, not really numb. It's kind of like I put a bubble around me and
And you
don't.
shield up.
Right.
That's a great choice. But numb, if you numbed
No, I
yourself,
wouldn't say
let's,
numb. No,
okay, that's why I was trying to clarify that.
sorry.
No, that's good. And it's good to have that clarity because someone might have been misunderstanding that. So,
Right.
like, if you were expanding your work field, like we did in the meditation experience today, where we're expanding the sense of light and empowerment, that is a great way to shield up. And I teach that in empowering workshops when I do the empowering the empath. How does a soul walk into an environment that's heavy and dense and has a lot of chaos and not absorb that energy? You have to shield up. And it's like you were saying, you could picture as this reflective bubble where other people's energy can come touch you. Excuse me, I got hiccup. Touch you with awareness, but you don't allow that energy to come through and penetrate your innermost sacred space. And same, the reason I relate to like the sun is this bright light. It's just love. It's like the embodiment of light and love. And there's no like I'm trying to shield and protect from something coming in like a defensive way, like a shield, but it's more like my light just burns and permeates right through that darkness, that low vibration. It just is it's like dissolving it. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think it also you have to let go of ego and not
Absolutely.
have to be right.
Absolutely.
Just know
That's very important.
just that you know yourself that you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, like you got to feel your way, like what feels good to me, like what feels empowered to me and where I feel good instead of, what do I think I'm supposed to do? You got to feel that and honor it. Absolutely. Awesome.
Okay, and Cindy's saying, I was recently guided to quit complaining, solve the problem, and ask for help. And she says that she loves your message.
Awesome. And so she did. She decided to stop the complaining and she's asking for the help and finding a new solution,
Solving the problem. She said, I was recently
solving it.
guided to quit complaining, solve the problem, and ask for help.
Sometimes you do
That's,
need to vent though, you
yes,
know, but you need
yes.
to do it in the right place with the right person.
Yeah. Well, like when I'm doing a session with a client, they'll tell me what's going on in their life, and that's a healthy way of venting. Like you're expressing your truth. But the difference between venting and releasing your truth and complaining is complaining energy to me. My perspective of it is just meh, meh, meh. You just complain, 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 but you never shift it. I have a person in my life. I've known this woman for years, and she's always complaining, complaining, complaining about stuff in her family and relationships, and yet she never does anything about it. And to me, I just started to kind of slowly ease my way away from hanging out with her. And I still send love to her and I wish her the best, but that's an example of how if we're just complaining all the time, but we do nothing about it, it will make our vibration low. It'll make us feel heavy and frustrated, and it'll probably irritate others eventually too, to where they're just like, oh, here she comes. She's going to complain. But
Yep, Debbie Downer.
yes, and we can send love to Debbie as she's over there. But I'm glad that Cindy's saying that she's seeing that complaining in that way is not really empowering. It's a great thing to do if you want to stay a victim. And it's important. One of the things I work with clients when they've been in a victimization role for a long time, that will feel very normal. That will feel uncomfortably comfortable for them. It's like, I know this isn't the best choice, but it's comfortable for me to be a victim. And so we have to be willing to shift that. And one of the biggest fears for a shapeshifter is, who will I be without that? If I actually healed this victimization of myself, if I actually healed this like sexual abuse or trauma or this feeling that I'm not good enough, who would I be without that? And that's something that we have to have the courage to. The reason I love the flame visual is that we burn like a phoenix down to ash, burn that pain, burn all that frustration down, and then we can rise anew in a brand new way and we become. And the becoming part is what our souls love. Our souls love expansion, they love to become. And that's something that maybe you haven't been yet. So becoming feels more foreign and different and new, but it's also so exciting to the soul because it's like, oh, we're going to go and figure that out and learn what that feels like. To the ego is usually terrified of becoming. It's like, oh God, who are we? What's happening? Like, I don't know what's going on and I need to control it all. And really, we need to surrender the control and asking for help from someone that you trust, a trusted healer or a mentor, a friend that you trust. And when I say really be mindful of that, because if you're going to a friend who just likes to complain with you, but also not find solution, now the two of you are just gossiping and complaining, that won't really shift much. But if you go and you ask help from someone you trust that you see is very centered and very much will observe you and give you good advice, and then you listen and honor that advice and make changes, that is amazing alignment because this is where you're looking for the solution and you're becoming an active participant in your becoming instead of being a victim. And victimization, I'll ask a question and Kathy, you can answer if you would like to, or whoever wants to type in. Why do you feel that someone would cling to being a victim? Like, why would we do that?
That's just who they are. That's their
But
identity. And they're
they're
comfortable with that.
they're
Even though it's
comfortable.
not pleasant, they're comfortable
Mhm.
with it.
And why would you think people would be comfortable with being a victim? Like, what do you think deeper? Like, why would a person play victim again and again? There's no real right or wrong answer, but
I'm Well, I think part of it is low self-esteem.
yeah, like if they're not feeling good enough, they're not feeling respected in themselves. One of the things that I've observed that a lot of people, when they're playing victim, that the reason they will not break that habit, like let's say they're going to get help, but they keep going back to being the victim, is because when they play victim, they get something. And a lot of us have been trained from birth, like, how do we get the energy we need? How do we get the attention we need? How do we get stuff that we need? Oh, I'll be a victim. I'll go complain at the place. Make a big stink, and then they're going to give me a free pizza, or I'll go and I'll complain to this organization and I'll be such a pain in the butt and like be victimized about the situation, throw it out of proportion so that they give me a free pass. And I've watched this with people in my immediate family circle I grew up watching, that I'd be like, why do they cling to the victimization? And when I really watched it, it was like, oh, because they get stuff. And so one of the things that I feel each of us can be an active participant in helping people no longer cling to being a victim is we stop giving them stuff when they play victim. We stop rewarding them for that behavior. We stop catering to it. We stop enabling it. Does that make sense?
Yep, I see
Because
that.
that, what's that?
Yes, I have dealt with people in that way recently.
Yeah. And do you see how you're like, dang, they get stuff?
Yep.
It's like, even look at when, like, some of you that have ever worked jobs like customer service or um, just any kind of jobs like that, there's this saying that is completely out of alignment. And it is the customer is always right. And it's completely out of alignment. But that saying and that mentality, that consciousness is exactly why so many that are out of alignment will take advantage of different systems. Why they'll go in and they'll complain and throw a total pain in the butt, tantrum, and then they'll get free food. Or they'll go in, they'll be rude and hateful and they'll get like free something. And it's like so counterproductive of what we as a society I feel really want, which is the ones who show honor and who show respect, honestly, should be rewarded. There should be this like beautiful exchange of energy. Like, I show honor and reverence, and I receive honor and reverence. I contribute and I receive goodness. But in our society, the reason there's so much brokenness is because The ones who are doing the right thing get very little acknowledgement for it, but the ones who are throwing a fit and being a pain in the ass, they're getting all the attention, all the free products, all the assistance, and it's like throwing the system all out of balance. Can you kind of see that?
Yes, I don't know. I haven't experienced in that way, but I know that when people stop getting reactions to their complaining, they eventually stop complaining, at least with you.
Yes. Yes. And that's what's so vital for all of us if we see how, like if I owned a restaurant and I didn't give someone, I didn't believe the customer's always right, and I see that there's a situation and the waitress was actually in alignment, instead of just going and defaulting to, I'm going to shame the waitress and give this customer what they want, if I really observe the situation, I could be like, I'm really sorry this happened, but I feel like you're being really rude to my waitress. And we could be truthful and honest. And if that person, here's the reason I think so many people cater to that is that they're in fear. So if I actually spoke my truth, this person may leave and they may say some bad stuff. They may go write a bad review about me. And this is why a lot of us are completely enslaved by these people because we cater to the wrong energy. But if we stopped doing that and we took our power back and said, I feel like you're actually out of alignment and you're treating which, because I've seen that experience too. Like I remember being at a restaurant and the waitress came over and there was a situation and they actually told the person to leave because they were not being respectful. And that person maybe, could write a review or create a stink in some way. But I was really proud of that owner, like, good for you, because they didn't cater to that person's misalignment. And I just feel like we need to start doing that. And as like mothers and fathers, we need to do that young with our children. Like get them to really understand that you throw a tantrum and you raise a scene, you get nothing. And when I see the parents that their kids flipping out and they're like, "Oh, here, take a sucker. Or what else can I give you?" I'm like, "Oh my God, that is like the worst thing you could do." Make
That,
sense?
that's right.
Yep. But I
I
think,
forgot what the question was.
what's that?
You asked a question. You asked
Oh,
Kathy.
about what's that?
You the last questions you well the reason why I can't remember the question, but Mayan is saying emotional addiction and old programming. She's asked. She
Yes.
said it's like the answer in a question form.
Yes.
But what was the
I
question?
agree.
Why
So
why
just
do
like
people
why do people cling to being a victim,
Okay, so
basically?
that's
And so yes, what she's saying is true. Like when we're emotionally programmed to be in this place, this is like what I call the comfortably uncomfortable. We're just like, well, this is comfortable. It's not comfortable. I don't feel good here, but it's what I know. So I'm going to keep doing it. And then there is this place that they often get what they want. They will suck energies dry, and the victim energy, the only way it can survive doing that is if we keep feeding it and enabling it. So if we're not liking it, and because for all of us, we could have been a victim at times, or we may be the one that's having victim energy coming at us and trying to take. But it's important that we look at what our powerful stance is. Like Cindy saying, I'm not going to complain anymore. I am focusing on the solution. I'm going to change things and I'm going to find a solution. That's empowerment. And that's going to help her feel much better. Regardless of what happens, she'll feel better approaching it in that way. And for some of us in our life, like if Kathy's got a person at work and they're being a victim and they're always getting attention and getting, off the hook for stuff because they pull the victim card, it's going to be really powerful for the people around that person to stop catering to them and not enable that any longer, because it's actually, that is how you're going to help them heal. I feel like actual love, true love is, oh, I got hiccups or something. True love is when we actually care about another and we give them truth, we empower them, we speak truth and wisdom to them, and we do not cater to that misalignment. We do not enable them, because enabling them actually is enslaving them and it's enslaving us. As soon as we start to try to hook into another soul and enable it, we also are enslaved. So in a way, when we start to be truthful and we, share from the heart and we are empowered in ourselves, we help empower the other as well. So this kind of cuts the cord and it starts to create these more empowered co-creative relationships instead of these codependent dysfunctional relationships. And our planet's had a lot of those. And I feel like where we're headed with evolution and our consciousness is to create and cultivate these beautiful co-creative relationships where I benefit and so do you, where I thrive and so do you. It's no longer a I'm going to give, 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 and you're going to take, take, take. Or I'm going to take, 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 you're going to give, give, give. Like it just, that will create disruption in the balance. And usually the ones over giving, eventually are going to be pissed off and frustrated and, irritated. And the ones overtaking, they don't really feel respect for the one that's over giving, and they can't respect themselves because they know you can't trick yourself. You know when you're overtaking. So there's this like consciousness in you that when it's like, maybe I should contribute a little, they've done a lot. You need to listen to that voice because that's the voice of consciousness coming through you saying, hey, we need to get this back into balance. And if there's a voice in the other person saying, hey, this doesn't feel right to give. I feel like I'm obligated to give. I feel like I'm being expected to give and I'm feeling irritated. I feel resentful. Then you need to not give at that time because that is your inner consciousness telling you this is out of balance and this doesn't feel right. Like I want to give when my heart is saying, that feels good. That's a good way of giving. But if it's like an obligation guilt trip giving, it doesn't feel as good. It feels kind of sticky and attached. Make sense?
Always makes sense. And I know we're running overtime, but
Yes, we are.
Mayan is adding, it's like rewarding Pavlov's dog behavior to support and perpetuate their behavior. See?
What was that? Say that one more time.
She says it's like rewarding Pavlov's dog behavior to support and perpetuate their behavior, right?
Yes. Yes. Exactly. And so if you're supporting and perpetuating it, you are actually a part of the problem. And that's a big eye opener for people. It's kind of like, the husband that really loves his wife and she's an alcoholic, but he keeps bringing home wine and then he complains to his friends how she drinks too much. But yet he's bringing home wine and we can have that the other way. The woman's bringing home stuff and cigarettes and the guy's smoking and she's complaining all the time about it. He smokes. But people create this insanity every day. So it's like the big eye-opening moment is when we look into our own life and like, am I participating in co-creative relationships or am I participating in creating codependent relationships? And that is my question. I can only, as Tawnya, answer that. Mayan can only answer that for her. Amnon and Kathy can only answer that for them. So when we tune in, we ask ourselves that question. This is how we become more empowered. And then we start to be very conscious in what we're creating. Now we consciously co-create high vibrational relationships, honorable relationships, and relationships that I thrive and they thrive, relationships that feel loving and it flows back and forth in harmony. But if we've been creating relationships where it feels very lopsided and it doesn't feel like it's fluid and harmonious, then we need to wake up and we need to shift that. Whether we change the relationship, we leave the relationship, or we stop enabling it so that that assists in it shifting, there's choices we can make that will actually empower ourselves and free ourselves, and it will also empower and free another. And these are huge questions and huge decisions because a question like that and asked and then answered honestly could change an entire life in a new direction. But I promise you it's worth going on the journey. If it's time and you feel like you're in this irritated place where you've been co-creating codependent relationships for too long, it's time to shift that because it's going to benefit you and everyone that you're having a relationship with. So I hope that was helpful today. It kind of just flowed. And since there's a meditation on this one, when I post it later on Facebook, if any of you guys aren't following me on Facebook and you want to, just find me under Tawnya Love. And I will put the video on there probably sometime tomorrow. And then if you want to save this one, it's a good one that you could go into later and just listen to the meditation every now and then if you're just wanting a meditation to listen to. So I want to thank you guys all for tuning in. Real quick, I'm just going to remind everybody that if you're local, I'm starting yoga teacher training and meditation teacher training this month, beginning of April, and then another one at the end of April. So contact me as soon as possible if you're interested in that. And then local people mostly, but I can Skype. So if somebody wants to Skype in, contact me. I've got an Empowering the Empath mentorship starting the 3rd week of April. It's on I want to say the 18th of April, Saturday. So that's another thing going on, and I would love for you guys to join in if you can. So one of the things really quickly I wanted to call forth is Amnon and I are ready to expand this whole network of his shows, it's Nissan Communications, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I want to make sure I say that right. But we're calling forth a volunteer or even a group of volunteers who are really skilled at promotion and marketing and just like finding advertising that would match the shows that Amnon has on Nissan Communications. So, for example, the pet show where she talks about the pets and natural health care and everything, great advertisers would be like natural pet care, healthy vitamins for pets, and healthy food and things like that. For my shows, it would be more like spiritually aligned topics or products that would be healthy and environmentally friendly. There's different shows. So, what we're doing is calling forth a volunteer for now. And what we want is you to work your magic in pulling in advertising so that we can get money to come to all the shows. So that in essence, we can pay the talent and you can also be paid. And we, at this point, need it to be a volunteer position just to show that you can bring it in. And once that comes in and the money is streaming, then some of that money will be yours, absolutely. So if any of you listening, your passion is advertising or marketing and promoting our shows and you would like to get involved, contact Amnon. Do you want to have them contact you in a certain way and share
Right,
that?
just right on Nissan Communications. There's a way to.
Okay. So if you go to Nissan Communications, there's a way to contact him directly. If you have ideas for my show in particular, you can contact me through my information. But just let us know. And if you know friends that are into that, maybe a college student that really wants to get into advertising and that's their thing, but they haven't, they're not graduated yet, but they want to practice, this would be a perfect opportunity for someone like that. So contact us. We'd like to call that forth. And angels, thank you for the solution because we know there's a perfect solution to bring wealth and abundance to everybody's talent and contribution. So I thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I wish you guys all a blessed week. And I hope that you will really be conscious in what you are co creating with each other. Blessings and namaste.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Health In with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Lessons of Vietnam with NCBBI members, The Tawnya Love Show, Your Healthy Pet with Gisela DiCarlo. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by Atomus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.